Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood.
Colorism, without a doubt, definitely colorism. Growing up, I was made very self-aware that I was darker than most people. I was made very aware that I was of a darker complexion. No one allowed me to forget that. Whether it was family constantly talking about, oh, you can't wear this because of your colors like this, or it was friends. When I first came to America and I was in elementary school, some of my strongest memories were other black girls telling me I couldn't play with them because I was too dark. So, and yeah, you can chalk it up and say it's just childhood banter, whatever the case may be, but I have actively had to teach myself how to love my complexion. And even to this day, I still find myself very triggered by like little jokes about color and little things that people say. Like, I don't play with that stuff because it really did affect me growing up.
Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood.
When I was growing up, I had an older sister who lived with her grandparents, and I lived with my two younger brothers and my mom and dad. And I thought my sister lived with her grandparents because she had a different father than us. And when I was 13, my alcoholic grandmother got extremely intoxicated and informed me that her and I had the same father and mother. The bad part about the story is that although I was finding out about it for the first time at 13, my sister had been forced to lie about it until she was 16, when I told her that I knew.
Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood.
Being molested. I was molested from the ages 7 to 11. There's not a day that goes by and I don't wake up and think about what happened to me as a child. I honestly think the older I get, the worse my emotions get about that situation. Mainly because I have children on my own now and I wouldn't want my children to go through any of this. But just as recent as last year, I got over one of my childhood fears, and that was sleeping with my TV off. A little backstory about that. When I was a little girl, my stepdad used to come in my room at night and fondle me. In his mind, I was asleep, but in reality, I was never asleep. So one night, I went to bed and I just so happened to leave my TV on. I can remember hearing my door open, and I couldn't see him, but I can feel his head peeping in my door. And all of a sudden, I can hear my door closing. He thought I was awake because my TV was on. So I felt safe with my TV on. So now that I'm able to sleep with it off, that is a big, big thing for me. And I'm actually proud of myself.
Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood. I'll go first.
Being forced to finish our plate. Now, it wasn't like that my dad would sit there and stuff the food down our throat, but it was like, this shit better be cleared. All this shit better be gone by the time I get back. If it wasn't gone, we'd get more food. So even if we were full, we still had to continue eating. And, then my mom, on the other hand, was like, we ain't really got it like that. Can't really be wasteful. So it's like, I had to clear my plate because I didn't want more food. And I also didn't want to be wasteful. And that's just been my relationship with food since I was a kid. And I've struggled with weight since I was a kid. And even to this day, it's like even when I get those full cues, I still continue eating until my plate is clear. And all that started from my childhood.
Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood. I'll go.
Yes, so I'm the only child, and my mom was a on and off again alcoholic and drug addict. There would be times where she would choose drugs over me. That left me to be very codependent on friendships and relationships. I never really can be alone, and I have to feel loved by someone. I'm always prepared for someone to leave me, and I am very clingy because I don't know when that person is going to walk out of my life. Yeah. So, definitely working on my shadow shit.
Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood. I'll go first.
I don't know the origin, but all my life, since I can remember, whenever I've received something or something has come into my possession, I feel like it loses value. Doesn't matter what it is. And I know it's not true, but I can't shake it.
Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adult.
I was a witness to an incident that led up to me seeing my mother's dead body.
Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood.
Okay, this might take a minute. I remember being bullied as a child and not defending myself. I remember people get me to the point where I would cry, but I still wouldn't do anything. I was never crying because my feelings were hurt. I was crying because I felt disrespected, and I knew that I couldn't punch you in the face. Because my mom would tell me not to go out to school and act up. She told all of us that. So as an adult, when I get mad, I cry. I'm never crying because I got my feelings hurt. I'm crying because I'm trying not to kill you. Because now I'm not scared of my mom. I'm scared of the law. Then to top it off, I have this reoccurring dream that I'm at my old elementary school and I'm fighting this girl. But my hands can never connect to her face. And I think that stems from that little girl feeling like she couldn't defend herself because she was scared of getting in trouble. Then I wake up mad.
Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood. I'll go first. My dad almost never spent actual one-on-one quality time with me. And after my parents got divorced, he was out of my life for months and sometimes years at a time. So when I got married, I was so clingy with my husband. I needed to spend quality time with him constantly, to the point that I was literally suffocating him. And whenever he rightfully wanted time for himself, I took it personally because my fear of abandonment would kick in. I would literally get emotional and shut down and shut him out to the point that he felt obligated to spend time with me constantly, and it weighed down on our marriage badly. So yeah, that was fun to work through. I'm better now though. Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood. I'll go first.
My dad made it known to me, like from day one, that someone was always watching me when I went out. Whether it was his friends, whether it was him, it was always somebody watching me. And somebody will always tell him what I was doing, reporting back, good or bad, dude, literally. And it was the most frustrating thing ever because they would do it to my older sister too. Like, oh, I see Naya walking in the mall the other day. Like, do you know that she was there? Like, he would have people reporting back to him about me on some real weird shit. I don't know if you've ever, like, slick, like, straight up followed me, but I've literally always had suspicions. Now, as an adult, I always think someone's watching me. I'm so paranoid. I'm always looking behind my back. I'm always checking under everything, making sure everything's triple, quadruple, thousand locks. Like, it's so terrifying constantly looking behind your back because I feel like somebody's always watching me. Like, so unnecessary.
Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood. I'll go first.
This right here. And it ties into my social anxiety and my, I don't know if it counts as social anxiety, but I've always called it my touching issue, because now as an adult, because as a kid, kids would come up to me and just stick their hands in my hair, my fellow classmates. And I'm talking like 10, 11 kids at a time, and constantly invade my personal space. To the point where now as an adult, if I see someone in my personal space, like getting ready to touch me, my first reaction isn't to say anything, it's to fucking hit them. That's how bad it was. I would literally have to like punch kids to get them off me sometimes, or scream and cuss in the 5th grade to get teachers' attention, to get kids to leave me alone. And now as an adult, my own mother has not touched my hair since I was 10, and I barely ever touch anybody or give anybody a hug.
Tell me a childhood trauma that has affected you all the way into your adulthood. I'll go first.
When I was in middle school, I used to be like super overweight, like really fat. And so like, but I was still cute as fuck. But like one day I was in class and like these 2 bitches were sitting behind me, and like they decided to do, well, they decided to pass a petition around the classroom to have everybody fucking sign it, agreeing with how fat I was. And they fucking like wrote some little quote, some little saying, and they passed it around the whole classroom. And then that was the remainder of my period. And yeah, so to this day, I've just like, still, no matter how much weight I lose, just like so grossed out with myself, really traumatized.